Welcome to Real Flix Reviews, or like a book club for people who hate reading. This week's our theater picks. We picked the movie Mad Max Fury Road. We bring you movie news. And this week we have Jonathan Charney, James Stevens, Ryan
Hello.
Preston, and the old guys phoning at home.
I'm on the phone.
So who has the description of this movie?
I guess that would be me. In a stark desert landscape where humanity is broken, two rebels just might be able to restore order. Max, a man of action and a few words, and Furiosa, a woman of action who is looking to make it back to her childhood homeland.
This movie's almost one step away from being a John Travolta movie.
What the hell?
So
Are,
this is
are we gonna have to fight?
it was a joke. It was a joke. It was a joke. Relax. I have to admit, though, I do think this is interesting that not only is this a reboot, it's a somewhat of a sequel, the way they introduced the movie.
Well, the way that I've kind of heard it explained was George Miller didn't want to really go back and retell the story that he already told. It
Thank
was
God.
like just updating the universe, but the same shit happening to the same guy. You know what I mean? So they had a little bit of exposition, if you remember, in the beginning
Yeah.
of the movie. You know, my name's Max. I'm a cop, or I used to be a cop, and then they killed my wife, or what have you.
I am so thankful that they have a reboot that does not have a bloody in beginning. Every Batman movie has to tell you the same bloody story. So I'm very thankful they didn't do this.
Yeah,
Right.
I would agree with that. I was grateful that they didn't do like a long intro explaining everything again.
And they don't treat you like an idiot either, which is nice. They just kind of throw you in it.
Yeah.
Yeah, this from end to end. I mean, from him standing there on the top of the little thing, crushing two-headed. I love that scene. But I mean, from then on, it was like a one long chase sequence. This was the most metal movie of all time.
This and that you had that little girl who was kind of like the chick from The Ring.
Yeah,
So there's something you don't want to see in the middle of the desert. This is jumping ahead a little bit, but I love the bad guy that with the guitar. It's kind of
Yeah,
like
that was kind of funny.
I'm kind of thinking he's like the guy in the loincloths in the old, C movies. He's kind of doing the pacing because otherwise he's the most useless character in the movie, but he's awesome.
I disagree. I totally disagree. The reason being, I don't know if you guys remember Kelly's Heroes.
Mm-hmm.
Kelly's Heroes. That's a stupid example.
Yeah, it was.
I remember it.
Well, it's the same point that I was trying to make. Apocalypse Now, when they come over the hill with blaring the music
Yeah.
of was it like 1812 Overture? Not 18.
Oh, I see. Yeah, I see what you're saying. So
It's
he's shocking
psychological
off.
warfare.
Yeah.
You have the most metal dude of all time attached to bungee cords, whipping flames out of the end of his guitar, which apparently was a practical effect. He was controlling it with his whammy bar.
The flames.
I mean, it's the greatest thing ever. I mean, and then you have the big speakers coming out of the front. I mean, is like this huge monster. I figured that was obviously the reason for all the makeup and the masks and the gear was to make yourself look scary. You know, it's
The
psychological warfare.
the whammy bar comment's funny because according to some musicians, that's the only good use for it. Um, the main character was interesting. I've heard and I've read some stuff about the reason why, and they say one of the reason why they have the mask is it makes it so he can breathe pure oxygen, and otherwise he's in pain. It's kind of like a filter, is what I've read. I
Yes,
guess.
I mean, well, it definitely makes sense, and I really wish I'd have seen this movie twice before reviewing it because I feel like I missed a whole lot.
This
Um,
because this movie is roughly 2 hours and it's jam packed. There's not a
it's
boring
not
minute
too
in this
steep.
movie.
But
And
I mean, it's. I mean, first of all, here's a remarkable thing that never happens. This movie was shot in sequence.
yeah, it rarely ever happens.
It rarely ever happens, but it for such a weird, crazy metal kind of a cult movie. The story felt really, really layers deep. You know what I mean? Like, and I think that's why it sort of did feel like a sequel. Is you were inferring things sort of from watching the original ones. But oh man,
So I want to read some of the names in this movie because names and post-apocalyptic movies are generally entertaining to begin with. You had Max Rokentensky, I guess Stankensky, I guess how you say that. You had Charlize Theron, who was more or less the main character in most of this movie. Imperator Ferosa, Nux, Toast the Knowing, and Mortan Joe, Slit, Rictus, Erectus. So these names are hilarious. And you had Splendid Anghard. I should have paid more attention to the names in this movie. So overall, what was your impression? Because I've seen the three. You know, you had was it Mad Max? You had Mad Max, Road Warrior, and Mad Max Beyond the Thunderdome. So what do you think comparing the three versus this one? Because I actually kind of agree with what Ryan said. It's the exact movie, but it's just kind of updated.
Well, I didn't realize this when I originally saw the trailer. I remember telling you guys like, "Oh man, I don't know how many people are excited about this, but it looked just as weird and nutty and crazy cool as the original ones."
And I think it is.
You know, especially Road Warrior and Thunderdome for minus Tina Turner and that weird part.
Master Blaster, Master Blaster.
Who runs Barter Town? Sorry. But it felt like I was watching a trailer for an updated like that movie, that kind of a cult classic movie. What I didn't realize at the time was he was bringing people out of retirement to work on this movie again. Like he brought the band back together for this.
Really? I didn't know that.
Yeah,
That's
the
awesome.
the cinematographer, I'm gonna forget his name, but he hadn't done a movie in a long time, and he was the original cinematographer.
That's awesome. So according to IMDb, it's John Seale, Seale.
Okay, yeah.
So that's
Yeah,
pretty
but I
cool.
mean, that's like the original Australian crew, man. That's crazy.
Well, I have to admit, I was really hoping for like a Mel Gibson tidbit, even if it was like, like somebody's walking over a poster, something.
Well, I'll give you a tidbit. You know the coat that Tom Hardy was wearing?
Yeah.
That was the same one.
Really?
Same one.
That dude's, I'm actually,
Just a little more worn.
I'm surprised it fit him. He always seemed a little whiter.
Yeah, really.
So, James, because he's oddly silent, which is never a good thing.
Okay, I have to pose an internet theory, and my girlfriend actually brought this up, and I was like, "What are you talking about?" And then it occurred to me what she was talking about. There's a theory basically that I don't know if you remember like the feral kid from Road Warrior, the second movie.
Mm-hmm.
There's a theory that this Max is that kid grown up.
That would be cool.
It would be nutty if that's where, because Tom Hardy already said he signed on for like 3 more movies. He just announced it last month. So if it turns out to be that kind of a thing, then damn, that's going to be pretty cool.
Because that would be cool, because it would lead way to the future having something with both Maxes, a very old geriatric Max and a young badass Max.
Right, and still the same kind of world, still the same people struggling for survival with nothing around. It's still the same gasoline and water struggle. And I think part of the theory was that this Max had a music box. I don't remember it. It's been like a week and a half since I saw it. But there was a music box that he'd given to that kid in Road Warrior.
Oh, yeah, I see, yeah. So, because James hasn't said anything, I'm going to say a few things that I was wondering about. Like, one, how come they just randomly ran into a mud puddle? Why were they powdered black and white and look like the people from The Descent? Why did she wipe grease on her forehead? There were a ton of throwaway characters, and I kind of think Max was a little bit of a throwaway character for most of this movie. Like how they started, the guy got a tattoo that he was a universal donor.
Yeah.
Let's see. Why was the guy breeding people? Was it for an army? And what the hell's with that milking machine and mother's milk? And it doesn't explain what the fuck that's even about. I mean, if you're gonna explain something, I want to know about that.
That's what I mean by layered. Like, I feel like I missed so much watching this movie. That it immediately made me want to go back and watch it again.
James?
Well, I've noticed that Rob is actually about as quiet as I am.
Rob, you still there?
I'm here.
Okay. So I'm going to go first, Rob.
I already know what he's going to give this one. I think.
You know, this one for me is a Mad Max for Mad Max fans.
Totally.
And I actually surprisingly I enjoyed the first Mad Max, the original Mel Gibson one way back when.
Wow.
But I wasn't a big fan of the second and third one. And the third one to me was pretty much the
It was RoboCop 3 practically.
It was campy, but it knew what it was doing.
I was going to go
Second
with
was
Temple
the
of Doom, but, close enough. And Crystal Skull.
And for a little bit of information, the original Mad Max was made in 1979 with a very, very young Mel Gibson.
And it was
almost his first movie.
Mostly in the end of 79 into 80. Now, I wanted to pull up a couple things just for tidbit. I think these are a little bit interesting. This one's total budget was $210 million.
They probably spent it all on gasoline.
Their opening weekend, they made $45 million.
Oh, jeez.
Mad Max, 1979. The estimated budget was $650,000. Their gross of USA is $8,750,000. Worldwide, over $100 million. So they made quite a bit of money off that. So that's kind of where I was at first. Is this a moneymaker? Obviously, it's not a moneymaker. Obviously, it's not a moneymaker. But
I disagree with you on that.
Josh,
I actually think most of the money is going to be made in the secondary market.
Yeah. So now where I was going to go with this is this one is obviously made for Mad Max fans.
Oh, yeah.
And the acting was really great. Hats off to Charlize Theron and Tom Hardy. I actually really do like Tom Hardy's acting.
And Nux.
I have to say I don't like his Mad Max as much as I liked Mel Gibson's. Mel Gibson was a little bit more cold-blooded.
I also,
he was a cold-blooded person back then. Hi, roommate. I see you. Wave.
I also think the Mel Gibson's version of Max was a tad bit more on the mad.
Yeah.
Where this guy just had like PTSD turned up to 11.
And my problem with this Mad Max, and Ryan John touched on a little bit, is he was a secondary character.
Yes.
He was not the main focus of this film. He was a key player in this film. And to answer you, John, Mother's Milk had more... it was obviously that they were going for a higher grade of something to drink besides water that they could just...
Okay, so they were looking for something with more protein.
He had a milking farm. That's really what that was.
Get a cow, not a person.
And that's what that tank was full of, remember? The tank, he's like, what the hell is this crap? And they starts dunking his face in. Now, I really was not enthralled with this film. The action was great. The cinematography was really well done. I thought even the filming of the battle between the cars was actually really smooth. Which is a very hard thing to do while they're moving and bouncing up and down and trying to follow multiple action sequences. I thought, they really didn't make me happy when they killed the main bad guy. That was kind of a little bit...
I'll give you that.
Why didn't you just, rip him apart with a car tire? Shredding his entire body down to nothing.
I definitely agree with James. I do think that the killing the main bad guy was a very anticlimactic. I mean, you have all this build-up, and then the dude kind of gets his head ripped off. I personally thought that was a little lame. Personally.
Okay, last point. Now... Did the world need another Mad Max? I actually don't think so.
I do.
But...
I think Ryan agrees with me.
Ending on Thunderdome was a really horrible idea. So if you guys can wrap it up nicely, better than Thunderdome, I give you a thumbs up. So that's really what I felt about the movie.
I actually thought, spiritually, I thought this was the perfect reboot and the perfect successor because it had everything I thought that made the Mad Max is good. It had kind of useless plot. If there is a plot in this movie, it's thin, like 3-2 beer thin.
I think
you had a bunch of gunshots, explosive, random crap, strange people, Master Blaster, Tina Turner type of people. So I thought this was the perfect Master Blaster, and I love the fact his car gets taken from him in the beginning without having to see that part over and over again.
One thing I also was going to mention, so all those guys that lifted those old cars You know, like the El Caminos,
Yeah.
the Chryslers, those things.
Yeah.
In this world, they're like, ha ha ha! Now you see why we lifted it.
I know. So, Rob, are you still there?
I'm here.
So, why don't you tell us what you think about it?
Oh, so you want me to start?
Yes. Well, we've been kind of going as we go. Come on. We want you to.
Well, okay. So, as
I'm not
an
drinking
original
Pete.
Mad Max fan, when it came out, it was so totally different than just about anything. It was cool, and seeing these cars and the destruction and the things they could do with it, and it was a lot of fun. And then I think the movies just continuously got worse and worse and worse.
I agree.
And here we are at this movie where Mad Max really is not the main character.
No, he's definitely not the main character.
Yeah. And,
Side note, at
yet they're
best.
still calling it Mad Max. And I'm going, okay, well, wait a minute. We have a guy that in this movie, if he actually spoke a paragraph, I would be surprised. And it was just, for me, it was like, the cars were cool, learning that a lot of this was not CGI, although obviously some of it is, was cool. I'm not sure how many people were injured during the filming of this. That's one of the things I was going to look up to see if they So, some of the things are fun. I thought, gee, wouldn't that be kind of cool to work on one of those car crews, making one of those crazy things? And
Definitely.
I loved I really did like the battle wagon with the drums and the guitar player and all that. I thought that was pretty cool. Battling the war. That was kind of neat. But overall, I was left with total disappointment in this movie. I really was disappointed. I just didn't think that Charlene
Charlize Theron.
was able to pull the part out. She, without Mad Max, then it was her, and she just didn't play the part.
Yeah, she wasn't Mad Maxine.
No.
She wasn't crazy enough to be Mad Max, and it was just like, so, all right, so we watched the movie, I sat through it all, and I sat there and I thought, would I pay to see this movie again? No. Would I Redbox this movie? Maybe. But more than likely, no, because I think there's a whole bunch of other movies I would see first.
So what's your rating for this?
So, the grand total, I'm going to give them a lot of props for special effects. Her arm, where she looked like she didn't have an arm, and
That was
all
really
the
well
special
done.
effects were
Yeah, it
actually
was.
very good. So I'm gonna split this vote a little bit. It's gonna sound funny, but I think the set makers, the prop makers, the automakers, the things like that, I thought they got a 3. The movie itself, for me, and I know you guys are probably going to jump all over this, but for me, was a 2.
So were you giving it a 3 or?
Well, there's the problem. So I'm going to give it a 2.5.
No, that works. Ryan, are you still there?
Yes, I am.
Okay, James, what do you give the movie? James.
I know. I'm kind of the same boat as Rob. It's where the story, the plot motivators, the Mad Max wasn't mad. He was just quiet.
He was PTSD Max a little, but I think that's okay.
No, not even PTSD. I just think he had problems. I think Ryan's girlfriend is right, though. I think that's where they're going with this. Anyways, I think I'm with Rob, and I'm going to give it a 2.5.
So Ryan.
I'm going a solid point over with a 3.5. Like Rob said, the guys making the sets, cinematographers, everything
amazing.
visual was firing on every cylinder possible.
Yeah.
It was a spectacle to watch, and I think I would have given this a higher rating, but I think that we're going to see the better things down the road. I think
I
they're going
agree.
to play
I hope
long
so.
con on this game, on
I
this one.
hope so.
I was originally going to give this a 4, believe it or not, and I'll definitely agree with a 3.5, and one being the fact that this truly is just a traditional action movie. You could put Sylvester Stallone, you could put Arnold Schwarzenegger,
Yeah.
you could put any of them because there's no plot. There's really no action, like acting required.
You can even put Jean-Claude Van Damme in there. Go watch Cyborg.
I think
what
that-
are you guys talking about?
Well, no, the reason
Oh, we almost got to cuss out loud.
No,
Hardcore.
the reason why I say that is I actually thought Tom Hardy did a really good job
He
being
did.
Max, personally. I do think, though, this didn't quite need the range that some of your Tom Hardy has, personally. But I love the movie. I
Like
love
said, I think they're playing a longer game than just this movie, though.
Oh, no, they have to be, because the way they ended it is too open for something, and hopefully the next movie has a little more substance, because I think this was more like an introduction without being an introduction type of thing, if that
But
makes sense.
I see what I think is we missed a lot of things that we're gonna catch later on when more of the story starts to get a little more revealed.
No,
like
no,
I said, I felt like I walked out of there missing a lot of like side things, background things,
No, I agree.
Like the milking the titties.
And so,
yeah, things like that.
James, I'm going to kick it over to you for this week's Game of Thrones. Game of Thrones. I've got movies.
I can talk about Game of Thrones.
No, I meant House of Cards.
Oh, geez. Let's see. Well, I think Rob mentioned last week how long till the killing of the senator bites him in the butt.
Right.
I can't believe they're moving on that quick.
It
They're
hasn't-
already turning in on him now. I was kind of surprised at that. That was like no time flat.
Yeah, but
Well,
this.
I part of that, I started thinking about that, and they didn't know that there was going to be part 2 at the time. And so
Okay.
I felt like some of the writing was rushed to push this character out and get some of the stuff out that they were saying, oh, there may not be a second season. We need to do some things.
Okay.
That's what it felt like to me. It felt like they rushed it. The writers were kind of forced to, all right, let's try to answer a few of these questions. And I may be totally wrong, but that's the way it felt.
No, I think you're right, because if they knew there was going to be another season, I think they could have been a little bit more slower in the writing, make it a little more detailed. This one definitely was compressed, and I wouldn't be surprised the rest of the season is very compressed, because it went from like his news girl being being on his side to realizing, oh, I'm going to have to switch sides here. So it definitely went to overdrive fast.
Yeah, I could see that now. I can definitely see that. It's basically they were trying to wrap up the story in just a couple episodes when they could have had taken their time and had a little bit more plot twist and turns and yada 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 off a train.
Yeah.
So yeah,
So what's is next week? Chapter 12, episode 12, whatever they call it. Is
Yes.
that what it is?
chapter 12.
So make sure you watch chapter 12. And I was going to tell you, we do have a Facebook page. Do you love us, hate us? Do you think we suck? We might even read you on air. And how about donating a little money
might
and
ignore
pause
it.
for the cause for continuing to keep the lights on? And
Right.
since this is movie news, I do have a couple of movie news. It's on our Facebook page.
Okay.
One of them being Dwayne Johnson to star in Big Trouble in Little China remake. I'm not sure if this movie needs a remake, personally, because
No, don't.
Really, Ryan? Oh, come on! Big Trouble in Little China was awesome.
yes, but I thought it
That's
was
For
what
an
I'm
80s
saying.
film.
Like, he was awesome. Why does it need a remake?
and
Because Dwayne Johnson hasn't done it yet.
and since we're on remakes, how about a new Point Break remake? We actually have the new poster for it on our Facebook page. Another movie that was great. Stop remaking movies that are good.
So actually,
And by great, you mean insane, right?
Yes, it was an awesome movie.
speaking of which, now we try to stay away from the political stuff, but
Uh-oh.
John loves this guy, and he's taking on a project called 13 Hours. Has any of you guys heard of this yet?
No, which guy is it?
It's John's favorite, Michael Bay. He's going to be
13
directing
hours?
13 hours, and this one is actually based on Benghazi. So he's going to be telling the Benghazi story, and he's going to be directing it. Now, I don't know. I'm not sure if this is going to be one that will be good. It's Michael Bay. I haven't seen him do something
Well,
like this.
Benghazi. This is a movie that had the real life was a
I mean,
spectacle.
America's most
Well, here-
Americans are really kind of troubled by this one.
Well, if you can use real life events to make a movie, I actually think this is a good one because it's a spectacle, and that's really all Michael Bay is good for. Honestly, in my humble opinion,
But this one's still quite controversial
Oh,
as
no.
far as a movie, and this
Oh,
is
no.
why I'm bringing it up.
don't
What
get
do you
me
guys
wrong.
think?
I agree, and according to IMDb, you've got John Karinsky, Pablo Schreiber, Max Martin, Toby Stevens. So you do have some people that I've never heard of, but I don't know. Done right, I think this will good. Done Michael's Bay way, I think mileage may vary.
Well, there's the problem. I mean, you said done right.
Yeah.
I'm not going to hold out my hopes.
But does it interest you? I mean, this is as far as I'm concerned, this is still a very controversial topic.
I'll rent it. I don't know if I want to see it in theaters personally, but I do my forward looking a little bit. I do think if Michael Bay does this right, I think it'll help his career if he's able to make it a spectacle but tasteful.
Yeah,
Well-
because I mean, this one is a real story where people died.
Oh yeah.
My prediction is he's going to be respectful of the events that took place, but it's probably going to get bogged down in shitty writing because he's going to be obviously concerned about the spectacle as he's been known to do. Has anybody else noticed that Michael Bay looks remarkably like Michael Bolton?
No, but now that you bring
yeah.
it up, that's pretty funny.
I'm just saying, I on his IMDb page right now because I was trying to see if he'd done anything similar, and
No.
he
No.
hasn't. By the way, he's done Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, and
Oh.
I had no idea he was an exec producer on Black Sails, though.
Yeah.
And another thing, if you want to take a look at Rocksteady and Bebop are up for the next Ninja Turtle movies. You can see what they look like on our Facebook page. And
see, that's
Hold
what
on.
mean.
I got one thing to say.
The spectacle.
The closest thing that he's done to a real life telling story is Pain and Gain.
is what?
Pain and Gain.
Interesting.
The one that The Rock did not that long ago with Marky Mark.
Oh yeah. I wanna, and I'm gonna mention a death here. And it's actually a real shame what happened. It was John Nash, the real life mathematician, that beautiful mind
Yeah.
with Russell Crowe was actually made after. He died May 24th, May 23rd of this last week. And I think if I remember correctly, him and his wife died. And it's actually a real shame because everything I've heard about this guy was actually, he was really, brilliant, but nice guy.
Yeah.
And so just want to give it, a little bit of a shout out, if you if you really want to go that way type of thing. He seemed like a cool guy. By the way, brilliant movie. We actually did that in
Yeah.
one of the episodes. Take a look at it. And another one, there was a birthday. It was Clint Eastwood's birthday on June 1st.
Yep.
So happy birthday to an amazing actor. And the last one, and I'm not sure why anybody's doing this besides to make more money, there's going to be a spin-off of the Harry Potter's movies, and Eddie Raymond is to star.
Wait. What?
There's going to be a spin-off of the Harry Potter movies. Don't know what it's about, but it's going
Is
to...
Rowling involved in this?
Yeah, it's probably
Really?
off of something she wrote. I'm assuming it is.
Huh.
Was she out of money already?
Yeah, that's what I'm kind of thinking.
I-
Did she marry somebody again?
I don't know, but at this point, she's probably richer than the queen. So there's going to be a new spin-off, and according to what I found on spinoff.com, actually, it's going to star Eddie Raymond. I don't know. So we haven't done the Harry Potter
Who the
books.
hell is Eddie Raymond?
I have no idea. I've
Eddie
read...
Redmayne.
So
Redmayne?
without getting too much into those movies, because we may do them at some point, how do you guys feel about the movies? Does it deserve a sequel or a
The
spin-off?
Harry Potter?
Yeah.
You can do it. I don't necessarily think that they need to. I think they closed it up pretty nicely in a tight little basket.
So I
and
did
threw the
read-
basket
I'm
off a
sure that-
bridge.
I did
I
read.
mean, this is a world where they're making the Wizarding World of Harry Potter at Universal Studios. I mean, there's money to be milked out of the universe.
Oh yeah.
Well, I did.
So
Oh,
they're
most
gonna
definitely.
milk it. They're gonna spin it off into Laverne and Shirley or whatever the fuck they're doing.
I did read something about how it's supposed to be like before Harry Potter was born, maybe around his parents, maybe before.
That could be interesting.
I think that would be neat, but overall, I kind of like, let the universe die. She's made enough money.
Yeah, it was like 11 movies for crying out loud. I mean,
Was it
I'm not
really?
even
Was it?
clamoring for more.
Oh, it was a lot. Remember they broke up the last Deathly Hollows in
Oh,
two?
that's right. Yes.
So, you know.
And it made a very shitty trend. Thanks a lot.
Yeah, thank
Yeah,
you for that,
seriously.
Rolling.
3 Hobbit movies.
I know,
Thanks,
you
bro.
could have made 2 of them and it'd still be too long.
Oh man.
So,
Anyways.
so next week is my pick. And I'm going to pick a movie that there's a
Ding
chance.
dong, the witch is dead.
There's a high chance you guys have never seen this movie because I've never seen it and I've heard good things about it. And this movie's notorious because it uses 1, maybe 2 sets. The whole movie. It's made in 1957. It's called 12 Angry Men.
Seeing it?
Wow, I'm impressed. So it's with Henry Fonda and Lee J. Cobb. Supposed to be a great movie.
I can almost guarantee Rob's seen it.
He was
Did you
alive.
go in theater?
Rob,
Yes.
did you see 12 Angry Men in theaters? I highly doubt it, but James
no,
wants to
I
know.
think that was that's an older movie, isn't it?
1957.
Yeah, you were like
Yeah,
14,
no.
right?
No, I don't actually remember. There's no way that I would remember seeing it in the theaters. Although I believe that I saw it sometime in the 80s.
Huh?
It's one of those movies that you just. You guys still there?
Yeah,
Yeah.
we're here.
Funny.
My roommate had jury duty. I told him to watch that movie.
And this movie is supposed to be a cinematic masterpiece, or something along those lines.
Is
So
that a Criterion?
I have no idea actually.
I mean, it really is a master class in what you can do with a couple of sets and some good acting.
Yeah,
So-
well, I mean, so much of it takes place just in the jury room and
Right.
looking at the stuff that goes on there. And I think you had some breakout directing in it because of the camera angles, the tight shots. There were some really. And I'd have to look at the records, but I believe a lot of it had to do with the cinematography and some of the cutting ground that they made.
Right.
with
Yeah,
the
you
tight-
have
So-
such a
so-
limited space to work.
Without getting too much of that movie away, because we do want to talk about it
Yeah,
next
we want
week.
to talk about it with the show.
I gave the movie Mad Max Fury Road a 3.5. James gave it a 2.5. Ryan gave it a 3.5. Rob gave it a 2.5. Apparently, this is the week of can't give it a complete score. Next week is House of Cards episode or / chapter 12, I believe.
House of the Cards.
Next week is 12 Angry Men, and as always, we'll see you next week.
Goodbye.